Thanks for tuning in. This is OPTIBOTIMUS coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original comic book Leonardo. As you can see, who is a ninja master of the katana swords. And then you have a really nice black and white image reminiscent of the comic book look of Leonardo himself. Or honestly, it could be any of the turtles because they all look basically the same. We don't see his weapons, so we have no way of knowing who that is. Could be the same on all of them. I don't know. This is the only one that I picked up. And I'll get into that when I actually open this up. But for the package, you can see that it's very similar. Well, it is exactly the same shape and everything as what we've gotten previously with the new 2012 Nick Turtles, but it's a little bit different of a background. You have more of a comic book look here in the back. You got some ink splatter kind of things going all over it. Come around here to the back, you got all the characters that are currently available. Also, finally, they have Tiger Claw, as well as the other classic figures. And then here at the top, it says, back in 1984, a single 40-page black and white underground comic redefined the comic book industry and created a worldwide phenomenon. For 30 years, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have entertained and thrilled legions of fans across the globe, and they're still going strong. Then for the bio read up here on Leo, it says, known as being brave, dedicated, and a master of his twin katana swords, Leonardo is the hero's hero, a force of good fighting against the minions of evil, and he's got a really cool shell. Okay, but you got a nice image here of a comic-looking version of Leonardo. You can see that he is holding his katana. And then you got another one right there. I can't quite make out who that is. But for the packaging, that's about it. Like I said, it is basically the same. You just got some different graphics and such on there. So, actually, that's kind of neat. Looks like it actually comes with a bit of a collector card, too. I'm curious to see what that's all about. But for the packaging, that is about it. So, without further ado, let's get this guy open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Leonardo opened up and out of its packaging. And yeah, like I said, he actually does come with a bit of a collector card. You can see some nice artwork on here, just showing Leo fighting some foot soldiers. You got the Ninja Master of the Katana Swords, you got his name, you come around to the back, and then you just got all four of the turtles, and that's it. It's neat that they included it, but what are you going to do with it? It's kind of pointless. But here you have Leo, and right up front, a lot of people may not necessarily understand why he's got a red bandana. They're going to be like, well, that's Raphael. Well, in the original comics, all the way back in 1984, before the cartoon came out, all the turtles had red bandanas. The original comics basically said the way that we're going to differentiate them is give them all different weapons. So you'd be able to tell that this is Leonardo, and Raph would be the one with the sais, Mikey would have the nunchucks, and Donnie would have the bow staff. But when it went to the cartoons, Playmates was the one who basically was of the mind, we need to make it so that these characters are instantly recognizable even if these weapons aren't here. If you're walking around the store, you see the color of the bandana, you instantly know who it is. So that's where the color change came from. But this is meant to homage that original look with the red bandana and that classic style. And I don't think it looks bad. I think it does a pretty good job of recreating it. There's just a lot that I honestly think is wrong with this figure. Now, I only got one because the only thing that's different between Leo to Donnie and Mikey and Raph is the head and the weapons. Each head, getting these down, each head is a little bit different. Some have open mouth, on like one side, one has on both sides. Then the bandana here is flopped around in different directions. That's really the only difference. If you take this off, that could be any figure right there. So all they gave us really was a different head. And it kind of stinks because the bodies are exactly the same. There is no difference between the bodies. So when you come around into the back, you got the shell, and obviously you can see he doesn't have his scabbards, which is really very unfortunate because he had them. Now, in terms of the color version of the Turtles, the only time that we really saw them, and I'm not 100% sure, I went back and looked through issues 1 through 25, and all those comics were still in black and white. The only thing that was colored was the actual covers. That's where we saw them in the green with the red bandana and stuff like that. So predominantly the colors that we got were always black and white, but you don't get anything really different with it. You got a little bit of a tail, which is neat. I mean, they had that. One thing that I think my figure has, and looking at it, I think he's got two left thighs, because as you can see, that actually goes in pretty far. This one, that's as far as that goes in. And looking at the molding is exactly the same. So I think the assembly is incorrect here. I think they put two left thighs on here, which really kind of ruins the standing, because as you can see, I can bring one leg in, but the other one is constantly stuck. Get this out of the way. It's constantly stuck out like that, so I have to keep it positioned like that with his leg spread. And it's kind of unfortunate. You can't really do anything with his swords because, like I said, no scabbard to put him into. So setting those off to the side, generally speaking, it's not bad. It's a decent representation. The biggest thing is what they decided to do with the articulation. Now, a lot of people will automatically compare these figures to the NECA ones that were released some time ago and are a little bit bigger. And that's, I don't think that's a fair comparison because, number one, I think those NECA figures were around $20 when those were first released. This is less than $10. This is like a $9 figure. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare those, but I really think that if they're going to go all out with these, they should have just put this in the classic line, like what we got with the movie Turtles, Bebop Rocksteady, and the cartoon versions. I don't think they should have did it in this small scale. This scale is just not good enough. The scale dictates kind of the price, and I think they cut a lot out here. Now, from my understanding, the actual sculptor sculpted a lot of the things that I'm going to complain about, but Playmates cut it out for cost-cutting purposes. So, first articulation, the head's on a ball joint, so you get a real nice range of motion with it. I absolutely love that articulation that's there. The shoulders move in and out. They move forward and back. Good articulation. Bends here at the elbow, rotates at the elbow as well. But this is where it stinks. There is no wrist cut. So the arms are constantly stuck like this. Now, if you want to bend them like that. And that really limits the amount of poses that you can do with him and his swords. I mean, you're stuck like this, or like that, or like that. I mean, it needs to have a wrist cut. It absolutely does. That's something that they should not have skimped out on. Obviously, there's nothing going to rotate here at the waist. The hips move in and out. You have to, or well, the upper part, you rotate like that to move them forward and back. They bend here at the knee, and then they also rotate at the knee. So, and then, like I said, you got the misassembled leg here. So, all in all, it's like the articulation isn't bad. It just needs to have those wrists. It's just, there's no excuse for that, in my opinion. Absolutely none. The other problem that this figure has is they decided to try and kind of recreate that black and white sketch look. NECA did it perfectly, and I'll show that off here in a comparison, but all it comes across on these figures is looking like they are scarred and scraped up. I mean, you can see all these little lines on here. If my camera will stay focused, all of those little lines are meant to actually recreate those line marks on him, but you can see his entire body has them, and all it does, I mean, the chest isn't too bad because it kind of gives a little bit of a darkness, but everything on here just looks like a bunch of scars. I mean, you look at that on his actual head, and that looks just terrible. I mean, you come around here, that underneath his mouth, just, it's not good at all. So I appreciate what they were trying to do with that sculpting, but it doesn't work very well unless you have a black wash on there, and they're not going to put extra paint details in that. Now, setting that there, like I said, it does look good in the black and white, so for comparison, here's Leonardo, and here he is next to the black and white version of Leo from NECA. And as you can see, the size is very different. Also, this guy is insanely articulated, widely regarded as probably the best Ninja Turtle figure from the classics that we've ever gotten. But you can see that they got the black lines on here to really capture that image, I guess, of the turtles looking like they're well drawn. Whereas this kinda sorta has it, but again, the scarring, I shouldn't even say scarring, but the marks on here that are supposed to look like those sketches just really comes across as looking like a scar. And then you can see that a very ugly paint blotch right there on his arm. But size-wise, that's what you're basically looking at. But now for a more modern take, here he is next to the Nick Turtle version of Leonardo. And as you can see here, you're talking the more similar scale size and such. So they basically, that's very unfortunate. Basically, they are the exact same size here, but you got wrist joints here. So, I mean, this figure is just far superior in that regard. But size-wise, that's what you're looking at. Now, bringing out my actual number 5 issue of the original Ninja Turtle comics, you can see this is the first full-color cover that they actually created. And in it, you can really plainly see that all the turtles have red bandanas. Now, issue number 1 was a white, black, and red color, and you could see that the bandanas were red, but because a lot of the other images in the background were also red, including some of the turtles just themselves, you couldn't really get a feel that the bandanas were legitimately red coloring, but this is the issue that cemented that. Now, like I said, I don't want to sit here and compare this figure to the NECA one. I don't think that's a fair thing to do, because like I said, that price was, I want to say like $20, maybe like $15 to $20 or something. That's still more than these cost, but I don't think it's fair to compare them. They're two different prices, two different sizes, separated by several years, but to me, reviewing this on just the merits of the figure itself, I'm really very disappointed in this. This is the first time that Playmates, who has since the very beginning held the license to do Ninja Turtle toys, it's the first time that they're giving us comic book representations of the Turtles. And unfortunately, this is, like I said, a serious letdown. If they were going to do this, I really think they should have just upscaled it, put it at that $20 price point, and made them in the full-on classic size. That would have allowed so much more to be done with this, and I really think they're selling collectors short with this. This is definitely a collector sort of figure, because kids aren't even going to know what this is. They're going to look at this and think that this is a weird representation. All they know are these guys right there, and even the movie ones now, but this, they have no clue. So a lot of this is just really sloppy. I've seen a lot of figures that have come from this particular line that have had paint splotches all over it. Mine has a misassembled leg. I mean, I guess I could rotate it around. It makes it look a little bit weird, but that's how it kind of should look in terms of the up and down straightness of the joint. But while I love the attempt, and I think it's a great thing that they decided to do making these, I just think that the figures themselves have fallen short considerably. So this is, as much as I hate to say it, a line of figures that I absolutely cannot recommend picking up to anybody. Even if you are fans of the classic look, I hate saying it, but I would say hunt down those NECA turtles. They did make black and white as well as color versions, and unfortunately they've long since been out of print, but on eBay there are knockoffs for them, which like I said, I hate recommending people to get it, but if you really need to have a classic representation of the turtles in your display, I would go with those. I mean, the legit ones are very cost prohibitive. I think the 4-pack that comes with the black and white ones that I just showed you and that I reviewed a long time ago, that sells for like $400 or $500. It's insane. So without a doubt, this is a line that I would pass on, and that's why I only bought one, because all of them are basically the same. The heads are different, but really, if you take away the weapons, that's, and I guess I should say take the head off, you have no way of telling which figure is which. So I would not pick these up, guys. I would send the message to Playmates that this isn't acceptable, that I don't think that this is what we as collectors would want, and I wouldn't recommend buying them. I know that can hurt the line, and they may not want to make any more because sales were bad, but a toy company needs to know if they're bad, why they're bad, and why they're not selling, and I don't think that this is something that's worth picking up. So if you do want to get them, they are right now out at retail. A lot of Targets have them right now from what I've seen. And as always, Ninja Turtles are widely available on places such as Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do is just click on the link down in the video description. You go to Big Bad Toy Store and you can take a look and see what they have. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been OPTIBOTIMUS. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/TeamBotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/OPTIBOTIMUS. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my new website at OPTIBOTIMUSreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, see what I have coming up for future release, and also get your very own OPTIBOTIMUS t-shirt. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, don't forget to please like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.